how many times have you read a book and it's life changing? I mean, or it's just awesome and there's nobody to talk to. Um, I I decided to do this, um, to be on YouTube and do reviews because of the isolation. I I I don't get out much. I don't have really good health, so I'm home alone a lot. When I found you BookTube, I thought, oh my gosh, you know, I can talk about books and people could comment and I can have conversations with other people. Um, it's it's a I know that you know what I'm talking about with the isolation, even in the best of times. How many times have you seen a movie or a TV show and you can find someone to talk about it and someone to talk to? And then you have your books and there's nobody. So this has been really fun for me. Used to read exclusively romance. And the reason being I was ill and there were times when I was stuck in bed and romance did me well because I got a happily ever after every time. I started reading a lot more um, fantasy romance, and that wasn't doing it for me. I needed something. I just needed a change, and I found myself going, yeah, 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 that's a romance. So I told my husband, I need to find a book series or a book that's going to get me out of this slump because being without books, that's hell. and um, so I found a channel, and Daniel Green. Everybody should check him out and subscribe if you love fantasy and sci-fi, especially if you love fantasy. I think that's kind of his thing right now. Um, and he suggested the the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. It was just the kick I needed. I needed something silly. I needed to laugh, and it was fantasy. And it. I thought to myself, okay, this has been around for like what, 20 years. Why hasn't anybody told me about this? Dresden Files. I'm going to be reading this. Um, I'm very excited. I think I burned through six, or is this the sixth one? This might be the seventh one. And I can't get enough. Now, I am warned that this is probably the least favorite of a lot of people's in the series, so that's okay. It starts out with like a box of puppies, I think, and I think they're hellhounds. I'm not sure. I just started reading it, and that sounds fine with me. That sounds actually kind of fun. So, and I know that I'm probably going to burn through this series this year, and I'm trying to make it last. You know how it is. It's like, oh, I know this is going to be fun, and it's my little retreat, my reading retreat. But yeah, I'm probably going to burn through them all. The next one, it's going to be something that I'm going to be reading all year long. I know that I'm probably not going to be just exclusively reading this because, yeah, this is huge. Look at that baby. So, one thing you have to know about me is I'm really, really cheap. Well, that's not true. I'm just really, really poor. And so I got this at Goodwill. Love Goodwill. I also get a lot of stuff from other used bookstores, and but I have a really good. I have really good luck getting stuff at Goodwill. So I'm really excited about this. I started reading it, and you know what's funny? And I'm just going to be talking to the ladies that have been reading for decades. And if you're the same age as me, and I'm 52, in the 80s, it sci-fi and fantasy, it was it was geared towards men. Not to say that you couldn't find stuff. It's just it the only people I really knew that read fantasy and sci-fi were men. Now, my one friend, um, she is laughing now because the first time we met, she said, "Do you like fantasy?" I'm like, "No." And she goes, "But this is really good." I don't know what she was reading. And she became my best friend. And she goes, "I knew you'd get into fantasy." I'm like, "Yes, I know, Becky. I know. You're always right. You're my best friend, so you're always right. You're always right." Um, so I was always intimidated to read this, and I'm really enjoying just a little bit that I'm reading. So I don't know. That was just a little aside. And comment below if you had that. I mean, my brother would talk about fantasy and sci-fi, and he really, it was like a boys club. And he's like, "Oh, you want, no, you're gonna do that." And I picked up some dry stuff, and so forever I was against these genres, which is totally silly. I should have been into it way earlier. So I got Mistborn on Audible. I listened to it. It was great. And then I wanted to read it, and I couldn't find, you know how it goes with used books, and I couldn't find it in the used books. Then I finished it, and I bought the 3 book series. Um, yeah, I liked it that much that I want to breeze through these, really, honestly. And that tells you everything you need to know. Is that I liked it so much that I just was like, I don't care. I need to buy these. And what's great about this series is that anybody can read this, and you're probably going to find something. You can give this to your kids. You can give it to your mom, your dad, your brother, sister, you know, friend, and they're probably going to get something out of this. And he's just a superb author. That's a thing. He's really, really good, and I can tell that he went to school to be a writer, and he worked on his craft. So, anyway, I'm I'm kind of going on about him, but yeah, this is going to be happening this year. Now, this was supposed to be a buddy read, and I bought it for my friend, and so I do splurge. It's not like I never splurge, but I said, "Let's do this buddy read, and I'm going to buy you the hard copy." And we're like, "Hard copy? Oh, how decadent is that?" Because, poverty. Um, well, not poverty, but we don't have a lot of money. And so I started reading this, and I really liked it. It's not like a hard driving plot, it's really about this character. And she makes a deal with the devil or a devil to live forever. But, and you probably heard all this before, but no one's going to remember her whole life. Now, this is the kind of book that you sit in your big overstuffed chair, and you have like a muffin or a croissant because she's French, and a cup of tea or your mug of coffee, and you just enjoy. So, I want to read this like this month in January because this is a perfect time to cuddle up and read something that, she has wonderful, beautiful prose in this, and just watching her journey And I heard the ending is like, okay. And I don't know what that means because, anyway, because I haven't read the book yet. The Navier, and I believe that's how it's pronounced, and she loves Frederick Bachman. I saw this book years ago, I believe years ago, and I wanted to read it, but it was one of those things that I'm like, do I? I don't know. There's other books before it, and I didn't want to pay full price. You know how it is. And I got it at Goodwill. And so I'm going to be reading this. I'm very excited because um, the snippet that I kind of read was kind of funny, but then Murphy said that this author can really give you a gut punch. So I'm glad I'm doing it now. I'm in a really great place, so anything that I read is kind of depressing. It's not going to affect me too much. And I was depressed. So I'm glad that, and I don't know how it is. I just am going by what other people are saying. But I'm excited to read this, and it's not that long, so I think this can happen in January pretty easy. The next book, I I saw the cover. You know how this goes. And I go, it's so pretty. And I'm like, please be a book I want to read. And then it was. Um, I'm going to be reading this, and it's about Ursula the Sea Witch. So it's not a retelling, from what I understand, of The Little Mermaid, but it's Ursula and her story. And that sounds really interesting to me. So I got this secondhand, and but I got it at a used kind of bookstore kind of thing online, and I got a good deal, and it's really good shape, and I'm really excited. I'm going to let you know about that. It's a book that I heard some good things about, and it seemed like it was up my alley. So I'm reading this, and of course, I got it at Goodwill, and it's great shape, I swear. And that cover's pretty, isn't it? It's so pretty. So I'm going to be reading this one. Let me see. It says, an exhilarating novel set at the glittering intersection of two seemingly desperate events: a massive Ponzi scheme collapse and the mysterious disappearance of a woman from a ship at sea. I could have read that better, but that sounds really interesting. So I want to get this done. I'm thinking this might be early February. I'm not quite sure, but love the cover, love the synopsis. I want to get this read. I really needed this book, and I don't remember how I got this one. That's not really important, but I think it's South American kind of mythology, but I'm not quite sure, so I'm not going to say. But I need to read this one, and so this is going to be happening in the spring. So I'm hoping I say this next YouTuber right. It's Jordaline Reeds. I think she's adorable. She's like doing all these things with her makeup and the wigs and nails and stuff, and she loves horror books. Anytime you're watching someone and you can tell that they're enjoying what they're talking about, it makes you want to read the books more, right? So I I love ghost stories. I love the paranormal. I love haunted house stories, and I'm always looking for another haunted house story that has a different bent on it, that is good, even if it's a little predictable, which you don't want it too predictable, but um, it's okay. I want to be scared. I want to look over my shoulder and go, is there anybody in here? So she recommended this one, and I'm so excited to read this. Um, yeah, I just have to say, her enthusiasm is so funny. I swear, when she gets really excited, she goes, "This book is so fucked up." And I'm just like, I'm like, "You go, girl." So, the series that I'm listening to right now is We Are Legion, We Are Bob. Do yourself a favor and either pick up the book or pick up or get the Audible. It's funny. And when I'm done with it, I'm going to give a review. But I'm really loving it. I'm like halfway through, and I'm having a lot of fun. That I'm working on because the series is coming. The series is coming. Wheel of Time, and I'm really liking it. You know, I guess it was written 84, 86, and then published in 1990. So, yeah, the writing style isn't as contemporary, but you know what? I'm liking it and I'm enthralled. So, um, good recommendation, Daniel Green. I found this at Goodwill. Look at this. Oh my God. It's so gorgeous. It's so pretty. But I read the synopsis, knew nothing about it, and I thought to myself, I really like that. I'm going to read it. And then I came home and I looked on Goodreads. It has good ratings. And I'm just excited to read this one. A true crime podcast host covering a controversial trial finds herself drawn deep into a small town's dark past and a brutal crime that took place there years before. I think that's going to be fun. I need to get more thrillers in there. So I'm trying to put more horror, fantasy, a little sci-fi, and humor. So I'm trying to balance out my stuff. I already read, Julia Quinn, I reread. Actually, I've read the series before. I reread The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. And then I just finished the Viscount Who Loves Me. I believe that's this. I know I'm going to butcher something, and it was really fun to watch the Bridgertons on Netflix, and then compare the novels, and they are different. There's the same points in there, but they're different, and I just have to say that thank you, Shonda Rhimes, for not ruining it, for making it better for the screen. I think the books are great by themselves, but yeah, I pretty much, and I don't do this because I like to space things out. And, you know, like when you have a dessert, you savor it. No, I binged it. And yeah, that was really fun. And I saw the changes that they made, and I thought, yeah, it makes sense. And yeah, they didn't bother me. I I had a lot of fun watching that. And yeah, Shonda Rhimes, thank you. So this I got at Book of the Month. I don't think I'm going to do Book of the Month. It's too expensive. I get really, but anyway. But I really wanted to read this. It is the year is 1926 in Shanghai. And it's a Romeo and Juliet retelling. I'm sorry, but that just sounds really fun. So, and the last book that I kept wanting to read this. And this was actually the Book of the Month, and that was an add-on. And I kept saying, yes, this is a book I'm going to read. And it kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And actually, I think the other one was, it doesn't matter. but I I really want to read this. It has a lot to do with South American mythology, I believe. Yeah, the Mayan god of death sends a young woman on a harrowing, life-changing journey in a dark fairy tale inspired by Mexican folklore. I'm sorry. How can you do better than that? I'm really excited, and I'm glad that I'm reading this finally. I mean, what was stopping me? I don't know. It's the romance in me. I had to read another romance, but I'm not like that right now. And I guess what I'm talking, so I'm enjoying broadening my horizons and reading more fantasy, more sci-fi, thrillers, mysteries, paranormal, and I did that, but all in the romance category under the romance umbrella. And I think this is going to be an exciting year for reading. I'm I don't know why I didn't kind of break out of my romance haze before now. But like I said, romance did me well. Um, it got me through a really hard time of like close to a decade of just health problems. So this is going to be a great thing. The one thing I want to add is biographies. So I'm going to be looking for those. I like good historical biographies and books on historical events and things like that. But it's been so long since I've I've read them. So yeah, that's something I want to do this year. I'm really excited to be on YouTube and hearing what other people have to say about certain books and what their reading goals are. I think this is going to be a really fun year. You know, we're going to get rid of COVID, right? And we're almost there. We're going to get that vaccine. And so, yeah, I just want to make it the best year ever. And I hope you have the best year ever in everything, not just reading. But I hope you're having a great day, and I hope you have a good reading day. Bye.